I'd say an aspect to their sort of damage and team fight that was really entirely missing from their game one lineup.
Yeah, now they have that AoE team fight in the physical form, you know, physical damage will be dealt. And Runeaters go for a Shadow Shaman. That's interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of the Shadow Shaman as a position 5, just because how it's hard to maneuver around the lane. You might be strong, you want to attack the enemies, but when you come close, you can easily die against the Mars and the Snapfire. Uh, very, very easily.
Yeah, it does make for a rather strange scenario to try and run it. However, still gives you some lockdown, annoying in lane with your Ether Shock, and you have those Serpent Wards now, so Rune Eaters not quite on the level of the Beastmaster that they ran before, but at least the threat of the push could still be there relatively sort of quickly if the opportunity does arise. And now, okay, Seeker pickup for them as well. So Bloodseeker always an interesting hero, very much a carry that, if needed to, can be that sort of tempo setting, fast-paced kind of option.
For sure. TA 2000 does play the Seeker. That is something I know. So I'm okay with that because it is not easy running into HYDRA. Mars, Nafar, Monkey King are heroes that can catch you off guard and you can die. Other than that, though, he gets a BKB, and if he reads the fight well, he's never going to be caught that easily. You can see now a lot of mobility on the side of Runeaters, Mirana, Sand King, Bloodseeker. So Mars Arena, the Wukong's Command, Mortimer's Kisses, all of those don't do so well against heavy mobility. So I like the approach. The thing is, Runeaters lineup isn't the easiest to execute. You need to start off the fight well with the stun into an arrow. The Shadow Shaman needs to be on the sidelines waiting for one of the enemy mobile heroes to come in. But yep, HYDRA are like, no, we're not going to be playing that Monkey King carry because you just run away from him. So they go for the Medusa, a hero that I mean, if you're running away from her, she's just going to be getting more and more powerful, and at some points will mow down your towers. So I like this approach from HYDRA, understanding that putting the Monkey King on the carry position in this game just wouldn't be the ideal scenario.
Yeah, would have left them pretty vulnerable, so now the Dusa sort of slots in. Of course, that doesn't mean HYDRA now need to create the space and buy the time for the Medusa to sort of come into her own, but with the Medusa, you already sort of know that you have a win condition that's kind of built into your line.
For sure, and the Seeker isn't the type of hero that goes through the mana. You know, even if you would get your shard, you're going through the HP, you're not going through the mana, which is okay. I know there are those heroes like the Seeker, like the Phoenix, let's say, you know, who are, or sorry, not the Phoenix, but heroes that take away the HP in particular, and then the Medusa is actually losing HP before she loses the mana, not from all of the hits overall, but you know there are those that actually attack your HP directly. Bloodseeker is one of those, but I just don't see him killing her with the shard, and he's not that constant output of damage because he goes in and out of fights. So this is a really good Medusa game, even if she isn't like the strongest in terms of farm, she's still gonna be very, very formidable. So I'm looking at Runeaters now to find a solution to how to kill her, and they're gonna pick something up immediately. That is not a Medusa solution in a sense of killing her, but that is a Medusa solution in a sense of overtaking the map early and not allowing her to get to a point where she is unkillable.
You had two options if you're Rune Eaters: either look for something that breaks through the Medusa shield, or look for something that's going to push that tempo even faster so that you can get around her in the first place. And as you say, the Timbersaw will sort of help out on that. I assume that means it is going to be Haze on the Sand King mid. So now, if you're HYDRA, the question is, what do you really want to run against it? The Monkey King core is still an option. You could also potentially just swing it into, I guess, a position 4 role and then pick up something else to deal with the Sand King here too.
I have to say though, this is a perfect Timber pick. The more I'm looking at it, the more I like it. Usually, when you look at the Mirana, you want an offlaner that has a stun to lane with her. But on the other hand, there are the... Okay, it's gonna be an Ember. So, or the other choice is you want an offlaner like a Timber, like a DK. DK has a stun, but you know, the point is the tankiness that can be left alone and still do well. And then Timber is the perfect kind of hero that you leave alone after he's level 3. You just go away. And look at this. You have Kaori on the Shadow Shaman in the safe lane. You have Haze on the Sand King in the mid lane. Perfect setup for the Arrow. So I'm kind of seeing Arrow once he hits like level 2 and Cloud is level 3. If you start seeing openings, if you see some problems in the other lanes, you're gonna go for them. On the other hand, HYDRA kicked is on the Monkey King position 5, so he's gonna try doing something to the Timbersaw level 1, but I just don't think that's gonna happen, you know. The safe lane of HYDRA is gonna be in a ton of trouble. There is a chance here, Kmart, that the Rune Eaters completely crush the laning stage yet again. It is not out of the question, and it can very, very easily come to pass.
Yeah, and I love that point that you make. Yeah, Cloud is going to hit the point where he doesn't need a partner, doesn't need a babysitter. Arrow can just leave the lane, and you have the perfect hero in a Mirana to start ganking up elsewhere on the map. If those ganks hit early, well, Medusa's going to have a tough time finding any extra space. So, said, let's see how alert HYDRA are, because the Mirana does still need to hit those plays. If she can't do so, then you have a much better chance of sort of surviving and then later hitting the timing you need. But Arrow's going to be looking for it just about the instant that he's freed up from that off lane.
Yeah, for sure. The thing now I'm looking at for HYDRA is who do you focus down in the early game? Because there is... What Runeaters ideally would want to do is use the Timbersaw and get down through the mid lane and the top lane tower. Again, because their lineup is a blink stun into an arrow. Pretty much the same as in the previous one. You know, there's not much difference in what you want to do. It's just how you're doing it, because the last time they had a DK, this time around they have a Sand King who does a bit more damage. On the other hand, HYDRA, they have multiple heroes that they can actually target. And, you know, the ideal target would be the Timbersaw, but it's also the riskiest one to go for, because if he survives, then all of your spells are going to be used in vain. But I still think that the Mars should be using every single arena on this Timbersaw. If the Timber dies 2 or 3 times, then the big game becomes harder for Runeaters. So I'm looking towards HYDRA here to somehow shut them down, because in the laning phase, it's not going to be easy to do.
Of course, yeah, if you can shut that Timbersaw down, this is not a situation where Cloud's going to have a crazy amount of farm available to him, because your Bloodseeker and your Sand King will presumably be sort of higher on that priority list. So HYDRA want to sort of be offensive here, be aggressive as much as they can. They've already sort of wrapped around into this west side jungle, but I don't know if Runeaters saw this rotation, but it seems like they kind of at least suspect that it happened, because they're already sort of backing away from that area that HYDRA really wanted to sort of spring their trap.
They didn't see anyone on the bottom lane, so that's why they were kind of wary of what was going on. Just as you said, it's you're not 100% sure that the enemies are going for that play, but there is a chance that they are. So you're not gonna be taking any chances. HYDRA would really benefit in this game if the game would start being chaotic, if it wouldn't be like just Timbersaw or taking some lanes, and that can start happening in the game if the kills start piling up. The HYDRA gets a few kills, then Runeaters feel like they have to get kills of their own, that they can force the issue, and that can be problematic.
So take a look at this top lane at the moment. Is kicked. It's trying to be obnoxious. Went for the Jingu level 1, but Arrow does a decent job of sort of maintaining his distance until those stacks disappear. So Monkey King's sort of first attempt in is not overly successful, but this is going to be the game plan from him. Try and get in there, try and use the Jingu to put some damage in onto Cloud and Arrow that you can potentially have stick, and this is your moment to do it before Cloud has any sort of points up in the reactive. And well, Kicked is having some trouble right now. He does get the Jingu off, but the lifesteal at the moment is really not enough. Arrow might just win this fight straight up. Yeah, that I have no words for what I just witnessed. I cannot believe that.
Okay, so he decided that maybe he decided it was smarter to die at that point because you're playing against the Seeker than to use the salve and then not have one for the Medusa. That's the like okay, I already messed up. Let me just die. That is the only way I can somehow say okay, his actions are okay-ish, but that is super funny coming out from Kicked. He just went onto Arrow with literally no chance in hell to survive, and that is what happens sometimes. You know, with the Jingoos, you're like, I got Jingoos, and you still die because you're life stealing like 10 HP per hit, and it's just sad that you can't do anything. So. Very nicely done by Arrow, though. I don't really think he needed to do much there, just to stand his ground and fight.
Right. And yeah, as you said, Kicked probably had a tactical reason for it, but tactical or not, it looked funny as hell. So first blood on the board for Rune Eaters. In the meantime, let's talk about mid a little bit here. Hayes going up against the Ember Spirit, and to this point, Asgold's doing sort of just fine last hit wise. Denies are up there at 3 for him as well, so he's not really going to get pressured too heavily just yet. Is this a scenario, Harry, where you think Hayes tries to maybe double down on the aggression, or does he just back off and try to farm instead?
I think he wins the farm war, so there is no reason to double down on the aggression. If he gets like a stack or two from the Marana or from the Shadow Shaman, the Sand King will outfarm the Ember Spirit. It is just easier for him to do so. Plus, the Ember can't really pressure his tower, so I think Hayes will try to be somewhat annoying in the lane to Asgold. We know that Sand Kings can be that, especially to melee heroes, but I don't think it's gonna be like, okay, I have to kill this guy or something along those lines. Mid laners have become these more passive guys in the first few minutes, so I think that's something with what we're gonna see from these two, because there's like speed. Honestly speaking, there's not much kill potential going on between the two.
I need to see the supports rotate before there's anything other than just trading last hits. So, I mean, that's going to work out just fine for those two mid laners. They are trading last hits, and they're doing so quite nicely. So, stay passive for a little while. But, checking over in the bottom lane, TA2000... Well, this is kind of what you're hoping for on your Bloodseeker, right? Farm quickly, farm well, and maybe just go straight in. Kobol's not in a great spot, but they're actually going to look for ICQ instead. They get the shard, or the shackle down, excuse me, into the blood right, and a great situation for ICQ. There's going to be the cookie play from Koval to push him to safety, but TA2000 just sort of frees up a little bit of extra space in this lane by making that move.
HYDRA don't want to be low on their heroes. You're playing against the Seeker. The ones on the bottom lane, you know, you're kind of doing it to yourself, but the rest of the team, you can see that they're trying always to be somewhat full. And that is a smart approach from HYDRA. If the Seeker had a little bit more movement speed from the Thirst there is a good chance that one of the HYDRA heroes would have died. So I'm actually liking that HYDRA are playing it a bit more passive. It's costing them in terms of gold, but we already talked about it, that Runeaters should have the advantage in the laning stage. This time around, it is not HYDRA that should come out stronger out of the lanes. So even if they lose a little bit, it's not that big of a deal.
Play on to Kobal. That combo is just going to be there kind of consistently. The only thing that really can break it up is if ICQ sort of gets the spear play to stop the shackles, but well, that one was interesting because ICQ, he had the mana, he had the ability, but just opted to sort of save on spending it. I'm not sure if the spear would have actually saved his teammate even if it had sort of stopped that shackle play. So he would rather conserve the mana, save it for a better time, but now he's the one who's going to get jumped in on. There's the Hex. Bloodright not getting thrown down just yet, though. And now I'm not sure it's going to come through at all. That spear knockback was there, but they are still deploying the Bloodright. ICQ is not going to be able to avoid the damage. And does he just really run this down? Yeah, he does. Okay. All the way to the tower as they find another kill.
Imagine if you're a race car going up against an old timer. You know, you're always gonna be you're always gonna attempt to go for that race, because you know you just have so much more movement speed in that situations for TA2000. Very nicely done by Runeaters here on the bottom lane. Despite the enemies actually keeping themselves healthy, the bottom lane is still going quite well. I have to say, HYDRA, they're playing this wrong. They have to be running at the Shadow Shaman every single chance they get, because if the Shadow Shaman is low, he's always gonna die if he gets close. And You know, if the Shadow Shaman is full HP, you're harassing the Seeker. Doesn't really do much. He always heals himself up with the Thirst. At some point, you're half HP and you just die.
Middle lane. Not quite able to get into position for Kaori. No boots on the Shaman, so he's a little slow to follow up the sort of play in from Hayes. But it's worth an attempt if you're the Shaman. If it doesn't work, you can just sort of rotate your way back down to the bottom lane if that's what you want. However, look at HYDRA. They're bringing both of the supports over, so they would love a fight right now, but can they actually find the engagement? They're going to go for the Searing Chains. Do they have any vision here, though? Because there's the vision. They're going to throw down the sentry. Should be enough for the kill, but now Askold taking down an exchange arrow. Heads up play, and with the Starstorm, Ix may actually fall here. One more right click, dodges it with the Mischief. Doesn't dodge the second one, though. As Arrow's able to find both of those kills, and now, with the supports having rotated mid, that is a lone Mars that TA2000 is able to bring down. We're looking for one top, too.
Oh?
Well, looking for. Sorry. Overhyped it. It's still just Cloud, but can do some damage now with the chakram up. So Rari does have to sort of show a little bit of respect to that damage output.
To be honest, I don't think you overhyped it there. If he had the Soul Ring, he would have dove for the kill, I think. But it was just a few more seconds until he could get it. That is what happens when you dive the mid lane and you're playing against the Seeker. Your Mars already got crushed. And TA2000 is going to be using that one. And again, they're fighting.
Who doesn't have a Remnant? Askold, that's a bit of a mistake. Goes for the rune without having a safety Remnant first. Kaori's able to get both of those kills. I mean, he didn't think there were going to be that many heroes there, I suppose, but that is a risky assumption to make, and it doesn't work out for him. 8 kills on the board now for Rune Eaters.
I mean, you're playing in the mid lane instead of... I think they should be playing bot or just playing the laning stage normally and not trying to break the laning stage up completely. Look at now what's going on, because everyone is getting low. It wouldn't even surprise me if Rory died here. He only has 3 wand charges, 2 more leaps from the Mirana. Okay, he's gonna let him live. But the thing is, you're fighting in the mid lane against AoE spells from Rune Eaters. That means that the Seeker is gonna be a race card. That means your Mars can't catch back up, and he's your playmaker. So you're kind of banging on Askold. Okay, Askold, you are gonna be our go back to hero in the early mid game, but Askold is dying in the mid lane now twice in a row. So HYDRA, everything is going wrong for them, and there's one more thing going wrong for them, because they're gonna give away Roche right now to the side of Rune Eaters.
Kicked. I mean, he could check it, but why would he? Why would you suspect that this is happening right now? There's not really a whole lot of reason to think that this is what's going down, but I think they saw Arrow go in, so now they will make their moves. Hayes, though, cuts down that tree. Kaori may end up dying, however, but he was able to get the Hex off. Hayes did still grab the Aegis. Kick is going to go down, and what else can HYDRA do here? They took down Kaori. They would love to just burn that Aegis right now. We'll do exactly that, but who comes to help? Timbersaw is making his way over. Arrow Strike is there. Arrow... Oh, Arrow was trying to wait on the high ground, but he actually gets killed by the Sleight of Fist. But look at Cloud. He wants to get onto Rari. He's so close. He knows he can just get into position that he can potentially find this kill, but it wasn't actually enough with the chakram, and now he's kind of overextending here. He doesn't really have any backup. He's just going to try and power his way through, but that's not going to work. Cobalt gets the kill, and well, HYDRA respond about as well as I think they could have to that Roche attempt. They find some kills, they burn the Aegis, and still leaves them down 4k, but at least they don't have to deal with 2 lives on the Sand King anymore.
Yeah, plus, okay, they saw that smoke somehow. It got pinged up by the monkey. I guess he saw they had the smoke overall. Askold? He's gonna be fine. The biggest play there I saw was actually Rari using the snake onto the creep camp. He saw that the Timber was gonna kill him, so he went into the creep camp, used the snake, it bounced onto the Timber saw, it gave him enough mana back and just enough to survive all of the damage. So that was the nicest play there. Though, still... oh? Rari?
This is not an easy kill. We're going to try for Askold instead, but the Shackles are cancelled immediately. The Mortimer Kisses are even flying through. The Rune Eaters, I understand you're feeling confident, but that's maybe a little bit too much to try and get in one go.
That's very sloppy. Because you go for a stun, the Mirana was ready with an arrow, he doesn't use it. Then you're using spells on Asgold, then you're unsure with the Sand King of what you want to do with the Epicenter, and suddenly, after those few seconds of, okay, we didn't use any of our spells properly and together, you're stranded between tier 1 and tier 2, so you lose two of your heroes. HYDRA are going to be quite happy with this, so Runeaters, they crush the enemies in the laning stage, and then they're like, let's give them a bit back, so they don't say, you never got a chance to play Dota. Let's show them that in every part of the game we're better. Bottom lane, though.
Yeah, ICQ's in some trouble there, as Hayes may have overstepped mid, but a quick rotation bot's going to help them find this. Kicked is okay for now. They don't know that he's here, but over in the middle lane, Cloud and Kaori are pushing their way over, and Kaori, even if they don't find a kill, he can set up with those Serpent Wards. They're going to look for the tier 1 tower, and now Rari has a very tough decision to make. Do you try and defend this? Can you bring heroes in via TP to try and help out? The fact that they use the glyph makes me think they're at least considering it. They will get it back even if the tower falls, but do they have the manpower right now? The snap's coming over, but Koval doesn't have his ult, so without the cookies, I don't know if they have any damage to really break through, and that's not going to help either. They miss with that Boundless Strike, and all of a sudden Kicked has to just run away. But they're not going to let him go. Arrow connects. Cloud gets in with the chain.
Bottom lane.
They find the kill, and now bot. That is, oh, another play. Actually, pretty much the same play onto ICQ. Hayes and TA2000 really just ganging up on him.
And does TA2000 have any humanity left in him? Just let that Mars go. What the hell is wrong with you? It's not like he can do anything.
Uh-oh. This is a problem. There's the arrow in. Doesn't actually hit on anything, but they do get the shackles onto Asgold, but at this point they kind of need to focus on one hero. They do so onto Koval, but Asgold and Rari are still fighting. Meanwhile, over to the side, Kick to try and keep Hayes and TA2000 out of the fight. Not going to really work, though, as Hayes blinks in. Burrow connects. They're going to drop down the Blood Right. They also hit Rari. Oh, he lived for quite a while, but not quite long enough, and Kicked. But no, just don't even try. There is nothing he can really do here other than just continue to scout, but Runeaters really getting it going here. We said that they would need to against this Medusa lineup, and the Medusa's still been farming relatively well. It's just look at where TA2000 is in comparison. He's 2,000 net worth ahead of the Medusa.
I mean, they're outclassing them. HYDRA, I really like their movements and understanding of the game, but it seems like the rest of the Division 2 teams just aren't on par when it comes to mechanically playing the lane. It's sometimes very hard to read just how good someone is in the laning stage, because you can't look at all of the lanes, all of the little things that are happening there, and you know, if your opponent is weaker, the mistakes aren't going to be that apparent. ICQ, okay, this is very sad.
He's still stuck in the Serpent Wars. He wasn't able to cut his way out, so Cloud comes in and gets the kill. Asgold, he has a Remnant, but it actually, oh my goodness. It was a Remnant forward rather than back, so he jumps into the Spear Stun. And now Kicked is going to get his tree cut down. Cloud picks up the triple, and they want even more. They see Koval, they're going to try and track him down. No, they're going to try and just kind of push their way into the jungle instead. Cloud didn't quite get that memo, though. He's still going. Eventually, he's going to realize it's a tier 3 tower.
Like, where are my friends? Where are my friends? Why am I playing without friends?
They got Rari down bot. Long range, or long duration shackle into the arrow, into the hex. Rari's dead, and HYDRA, at a certain point, they just need to kind of get out of their own way. That's just not a good decision for the Medusa to be down there after losing so many of his teammates in that previous fight.
I don't know if you were paying attention to TA2000, who started running towards the fight ever since his team started. But before we finish that thought, Runeaters, they want to crush the spirits of HYDRA. Like, you have no chance.
Want Kicked first. They get him down. They get the shackles onto the Mars. That is a valiant effort from Koval to get out those kisses, but it lasts all of half a second. They did get the kill. Kaori goes down. Okay. Asgold's able to strike. You know, he's able to strike one time onto the support and then has to immediately run away. But it's still a kill. But at this point, as you said, it really feels like Runeaters are just out here to crush HYDRA as much as humanly possible.
T2000 is just trying so hard to be the one to get those last hits. He has a ton of kills, but most of that is just killing the Mars over and over again on the bottom lane. So the point I was trying to make is his team starts to fight in the mid lane. He starts running slowly, then faster, faster. He tries to get to a kill. No, the Mars takes it. Tries to get to another kill. No, the Mirana takes it. And he literally just ran to that fight from a hero to hero, never getting a hit. And now finally in this fight he was able to get to that much wanted, not really needed kill. Because look at the difference between the Bloodseeker and everyone else on the map. More so the heroes on the side of HYDRA. This time around they'll get a clean kill on the Mirana. Let's go,
This
HYDRA.
is a bait though. There's Haze in with the epicenter, and HYDRA. Well,
okay.
not great. Arrow even lived. They didn't even get him. Oh boy. I actually thought that they had picked up that kill, but they weren't able to do so. Rari has to run. At this point, well, at this point, I don't know. You mean you have the Medusa, and this is the second game. You're down 0-1. It's an elimination series, so obviously at this point you might as well just try for as long as you possibly can. But I mean, what do they really have here aside from, I guess, just the perfect combo? Is that really all that's left to them? Rina, kisses, maybe a Wukong's command even thrown out on top for them to kill anyone.
Yeah, but literally anyone. I can see them killing the Shadow Shaman barely. I can see them killing the Mirana barely. I like that you trusted your colleague, mainly me there, in the previous fight when I said they were gonna get the clean kill on the Mirana, but they're not gonna get a clean kill on anyone. They get, okay, maybe now. Maybe now Arrow is gonna take some damage and still survive.
Kicked can't do it. The Wraith Pact comes out. Meanwhile, the Shackles onto Askold. Just nothing will go their way. ICQ tries to lead in with the spear, but Arrow wasn't actually moving forward, so he won't find that. Meanwhile, Rari gets taken down mid. Cloud and TA2000 will find that kill. Arrow still not dead yet, just dancing in between heroes, trying to get himself away. They'll finally bring him down, but the cost is going to be too high. ICQ is going to fall here as Haze finds that pick. They did get Kaori as well, though, as Koval is able to get in with the Mortar of the Kisses, so they're finding something, which is better than they were doing 5 minutes ago, but the problem with all of that is that Rari got picked off before that fight even started, so the Medusa isn't farming and isn't involved in the fight.
Yeah, you're kind of... The only reason why you're fighting right now if you're HYDRA is because you want the Medusa to farm. If you're fighting and you see the Medusa dead, and you know that you're gonna die in that fight, it's very nice for Koval getting a double kill. He's gonna be quite happy with that, kind of showing his teammates how it's done. But after that fight, you see the Medusa was dead all that time, and you understood. You just gave your life away for nothing, you know? It's not even gonna be a king of the humans situations like you're gonna be known as the king who died for nothing and, you know, for the Alliance, for the Medusa, and suddenly you're like, nope, there's no Medusa. There's nothing to fight for any longer, and ICQ might actually die because of this DD.
Barely able to get himself away. And yeah, to the point you're making, that's the one where half of HYDRA die. They look back and they say, no, it's okay, guys, we died, but the Medusa was farming. And then Rari has to sort of tell them, I was dead the whole time, guys, sorry about it. But yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot for them to do right now. Their agency's just been completely shattered, and now the double damage rune and the Serpent Wards, this is a free Roche. They've taken Roche twice in the first 20 minutes of the game, Harry. That's almost unheard of.
Was unheard of until Ice Rock decided, let's make the Shadow Shaman wards kill the Roche as soon as he hits level 6, because I think that's quite good. And it even got nerfed a little bit right now, so it was even worse. It used to be even worse with these new damage types and armor types that have been added to the game. But yeah, Rune Eaters, they get those 2 Roches. It's 20 minutes into the game. They already have a shard on the Bloodseeker, not something that he wanted to invest in, but now he's going to be doing even more. Arrow? Okay, they get him.
But the counterplay is in here. Rari's in some trouble. They hit him up with the epicenter. The Shackles are coming in from long range as well, and Askold doing his best, but he had already used his interrupt, so he wasn't actually able to stop the Shackles in time. HYDRA get the supports again, just like they did up top, but once again with Rari dead, well, those kills don't really translate into much for them, and boy, the longer this goes on, just the less and less likely it seems that the Medusa's going to be given the time to farm into any sort of comeback attempt.
Okay, so what we can do now as casters is give some life lessons to our viewers, you know. HYDRA, at this point, they shouldn't be gunning for the victory, guys. You know, you just need to be better than you were in the previous game. And they survived 2 minutes longer, so HYDRA, they should already be quite happy about themselves. Now, it's all about small steps. First, let's take 1 tower. Let's take 1 tower in this game if we're HYDRA. They're trying to do it, but, I mean, Runeaters, they just have no heart.
About that, yeah, this is just kind of cruel for Runeaters, as is going to try and make an escape. Cloud could just tear through. Yeah, he's just going to go looking for it. They don't find it, however, so they will back away. So at least there's some mercy left in their hearts. But they took down Askel. They smoke up. They're immediately going to push to the other side of the map, so they just don't want to let up. And HYDRA, can they avoid this engagement? Because Rari's walking kind of right into it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a problem. Burrow Strike is in. Arrow connects. Kaori's going to hold the Hex and the Shackles for as long as he can. And there is no backup coming whatsoever. Rari taken down again. That's his 5th death now. And okay.
Rubbing salt in the wound, for sure. Ooh. For sure, like, oh, you're losing, huh? Let's see what you're gonna do. So they're tripling them in kills right now. They're even letting them watch it. You're looking at this game, if you're HYDRA, I don't know what they're thinking right now. And I mean, one question for you. There where Rari got caught now. So he was stunned for the entirety of the time, probably like 6 seconds. He would have been stunned for even more if it needed to be for another Burrow Strike or Yules. At that point, do you think, is he right-clicking the fountain? Or is he just, I'm out, kind of, in an I'm out kind of situation?
More inclined to believe it's the latter, that he's just like, okay, you know what, forget this. I'm taking my hands off the keyboard and there's nothing to be done, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, if you're at that point,
mean, we were giving those life lessons. You need to say, no, he was definitely, because he's a really good guy. He knows that he needs to carry his team to victory. So he was definitely clicking and trying his best there. Even though his best wasn't good enough, he did all that he could. That's the answer that you should have gone for. Come on, Kmart.
Do as we say, not as we do. All right?
Yeah.
Don't follow that example. But yeah, I mean, that's all you have left if you're HYDRA right now, right? You have to stay... Maybe not positive is the word, but stay focused. Because if you lose this game, then the series is over and you're done, right? So you have nothing other than an attempt at a comeback to really work towards. So is it unlikely? Yeah, of course it is. They're down 18k at 22 minutes, but it's not impossible. And at this point, you don't gain anything by giving up, right? Other than maybe saving yourself from just going completely sort of mad at your teammates. But as long as they're not at that point, HYDRA may as well continue to try and stick it out.
You know, I mean, HYDRA probably when they got into the when they got this new roster, I don't think that they were thinking they were gonna go to Division 1. Then they saw that some games they just kind of excelled. They probably got their hopes up. I got my hopes up. I thought that they could fight against Tier 1 teams, but now we see what is the downside of their lineup. What they're lacking right now is basic Dota, something that you get through just practice, and it's normal to not have good practice when you are a relatively new team, a relatively new roster. So I don't think they should necessarily feel down. Obviously they are, because, you know, when you have hope and it's taken away from you, it always hurts. But I'm just hoping that they continue practicing, because what I saw from this lineup in particular, I don't really think they're gonna win this game. I don't really think they can win this game per se, because I don't see how they're killing heroes. But with that out of the way, you know, you saw that you understand Dota, that you can play Dota, your team can play Dota. The thing is that just some things like, let's practice 2 versus 2 side lanes, and then you go for matchup after matchup. Let's say you go through this series and the matchups that you played, one of your two of your teammates play the enemies, 2 of your teammates play this one, and then you play it 10 times in a row, 20 times in a row. You see what was the problem. You go for practices like this, you're gonna have a few weeks if the DPC Eastern European Division 2 is gonna start normally, and you get yourself to a point where you're actually going to be strong enough and get yourself into that Division 1 for the third tour. If nothing changes, of course. I know that a lot of people are asking for some changes to the DPC, but that is, I think, what their mindset should be. I don't think they necessarily need to feel bad about themselves, because they saw what their problems are and they saw what their strengths are, and their problems are much easier to fix than if it were, okay, we don't know how to play Dota, how to play mid game. You know how to play this game, you just need more practice.
Yeah, and I think some of that comes from the fact that this region was kind of put on pause for a little bit due to obvious circumstances. So maybe there were fewer opportunities to get that exact level of practice in the past couple of months or so. So, if you're HYDRA, like you said, you know what you're good at and you know what you're bad at. And what you're bad at is something that is far more fixable than I think the problems that a lot of other teams run into. But that might be what the conversation is about for them at this point. If they're sort of thinking that the comeback isn't too likely for them, just sort of go over what you sort of made mistakes on and try to move on from there. In the meantime, Arrow has made attempt number 2 at reconnecting here. Let's see if this one sticks and we can get back into the game.
Cyber attack to Rune Eaters. That is still a path to victory for HYDRA, so maybe these guys know how to code. Maybe they have some powerful friends. Okay, not that powerful, seems like. So, Rune Eaters are back, and we're still going to be seeing a lot of kills. I think HYDRA, they know that this is their last game, or they assume, and they're probably going to play it until the end, unless one of them really gets annoyed about what is happening. GG in the first game, just not to get annoyed for the second one is understandable, but now you play till the end. You show that you are... that you have the heart to fight until there's nothing else left to give.
Hayes able to track down the kill onto Kicked there in that south side jungle, so they continue to apply the pressure, and now TA2000 is looking for something here in the top lane. If there's no heroes to come fight him, could very easily just make the push onto the tier 2 happen. And now if you're Rune Eaters, this is kind of where you need to start to focus, right? You've tripled your opponent's kill count, as we said before, but now, focus up, push out these lanes, get onto the high ground, and really just try and put this away as best as you can.
Your lineup is still very good at pickoffs, so that's how you want to approach this one, with pickoffs into this tower. And the HYDRA are going to fight this. They know they have to defend this tower until the end.
Stone Gaze coming through. The epicenter still gets channeled out. Now the rupture onto the Medusa, so as he's falling back here on Rari, he's still taking insane amounts of damage, and they're just going to get sort of run at here. Cobalt taken down first. Kiori does have to give his life, but it's not going to be enough to keep the cores alive. Rari dies, Kicked falls, Askell dead as well. Further to the south, ICQ is
Have
on
mercy.
run. He wants a high five. At least give him that. There you go. They will high five him. Now they're going to commit some murder. They will track him down. The Yule Scepter is there. The arrow, I don't think it hit, but they didn't really need it. Cloud comes in for the kill, and the full 5-man wipe goes their way for just the Shadow Shaman.
And you see, they're still not GGing out. Smart move. This is our last game of the tournament. They are, you could say, the top team of the DPC Eastern Europe, at least from the ones not coming from Division 1. We'll see how they deal with those two teams that are gonna be that have been knocked down. But HYDRA, they did surprise me. They did show so much understanding of the game, but it seems like there's one big weakness of theirs, and it is the laning phase. They kind of remind me of Yangon Galacticos. I don't know if you're well acquainted with the team. The Southeast Asia team sometimes plays Division 2, is from Myanmar, so they usually have some power outages, which doesn't allow them to play, but they're just an amazing team. They had some laning stage problems, and then they fixed them, and now they're actually quite good. But we're gonna see maybe the one last fight now of this playoff.
They are trying to get onto Cloud. They were able to bring him down. Immediate buyback from that Timber, though. He recognizes now this is probably our best chance to just end the game. Buys back, TPs to the outpost. Meanwhile, Koval getting jumped in on TA. Just going to pop the BKB there, but... well, didn't actually want to go all the way in. So he is going to back up. Arrow didn't really get the memo, though, as he gets pushed back by the Spear. The Yule Scepter, though, buying a little bit of time, but he didn't have any leap charges, so... Cloud dies, Arrow dies, and... well, the top lane is still alive in terms of the racks, so HYDRA Not a bad defense, but their defenses are getting just sort of chipped away at as we go.
HYDRA are now backed up against the wall, so we're gonna see what they're made of. You know, someone is coming into your house. You have to defend your wife, your kids. There's nothing else left to hold back. So this is what they do, and that was actually a cool play from ICQ. He catches the Mirana mid leap to push her back with the spear. Not necessarily something that you would say, okay, this is gonna turn the game, because when you see a difference between the Seeker and the Medusa, also with the Medusa being the faster farming hero of the two, you can understand that the comeback is unlikely. But at least HYDRA are making Rune Eaters work for it. You want to go into Division 1? Well, guys, you're gonna have to do better than that one. That push needs to be cleaner, and Rune Eaters, let's see, attempt number 2 of crushing HYDRA completely here on the top lane.
His TP's out from the bottom lane just as they were trying to rotate onto him, and now the push will come. The Serpent Ward's thrown down, and HYDRA, what do you got? Blink up on the Mars, the arena's ready, Koval's gotta wait a little longer for the kisses, but they won't get the chance to wait. Rari's gonna get jumped in on, the Rupture's there, the Arrow's there, the Chakram is in. And, well, Rari taken down, immediate buyback coming out from the Dusa, but they've already lost the top lane. And if Runeaters want to, they can just kind of back away at this point, and that's exactly what they'll do. So, second attempt, much cleaner than the first. They get what they want, they back away safely, and now they will almost certainly turn their attention to that bottom lane to try and at least close out the Mega Creep pickup here. But before they do so, HYDRA are looking for a fight. They get onto TA2000. They're going to be able to stun him up. Mortimer Kiss is coming through. Bloodseeker is taken down. That's exactly the kind of play that they needed. Can they find any more, though? Asgold needs to get the searing chains down, but Cloud is going to sort of walk away from that one. But at least they finally do take down that Bloodseeker. That's just his first death of the game.
HYDRA have been preparing that one for a very long time. They know that the bottom tier 2 is somewhere where they would want to fight. They know they have better vision there. Rune Eaters not respecting that. You know, Rune Eaters right now at that point, you know that there is one place on the map that the enemy can win a fight against you, and there is one move that they can make, and you fall for it. I understand the confidence, but still, usually in these kind of scenarios, if you're a team, you want to do it as cleanly as possible, just so that you gain that confidence. You're still going to be fighting in the Division 1. Teams there are going to be much more formidable than what you faced here. So those eight series in a row that you win 2-0, they're not gonna matter much against Team Spirit. You know, they don't care about your streak. They're gonna be very, very powerful against you, even so. So I kind of wanted them to do this a bit more cleaner, but you know, it is only natural. Maybe they're already celebrating like champagne in the air and stuff like that. Who knows? They do have a formula on their side.
Yeah, and I mean at this point, they are almost certainly going to do what they came out here to do, which was to get that spot in D1, but that is going to be the next step for them, right? If you do want to compete with those teams that you're going to face off against in Division 1, then you need to sort of tighten up the execution even more, make even fewer mistakes than you did here, and really make sure that you can sort of handle your business quickly and efficiently. And this is not really quickly or efficiently. And while it does feel a little bit sort of, you know, nitpicky to say that, it is now what has to be done if you're Rune Eaters, because you already have to be sort of looking ahead to what caliber of team you're facing moving forward.
Oh, Kmart, given that the analysis of this game would just be sugarcoating that HYDRA are getting completely stomped and that they almost can't do anything, I have to ask you, how has your Eastern European experience been? This is probably your first time that you are looking at Eastern European Tier 2 Dota just so thoroughly, and I want to say what you think about this beautiful region.
I've been liking what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, I mean, I'd not really gotten to cast many pro games. I think the last time I was looking at Eastern Europe was close to 2 years ago, just sort of looking at sort of Tier 2 and Tier 3 events. So I do still recognize quite a few of these players who sort of worked their way up, but the level of execution that these teams have here is still, I think, pretty impressive compared to maybe that second tier from some of the other regions. feel like in like North and South America, a lot of teams in the tier 2 scene get by on talent alone from some of their star players, whereas the squads here, obviously you still have their standouts, but the teams themselves seem to play better as a unit.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's only natural, you know. In Eastern Europe, Dota is a very popular game. You could argue that percentage-wise, definitely, I think Eastern Europe has the most players. So it's only natural that more of them are gonna be at this tier 2 level. It's just the tier 2 Dota in Europe is just so competitive. But I think Southeast Asia is actually catching up overall on that one. So after the major going as good as it is for NA, I guess, and South America as well, I guess your continent is next. But before that, let's finally see maybe now the last fight of this qualifier.
They're pushing their way in. Kicked is stuck on the high ground there. Cobalt trying to get the Mortimer Kisses in for some damage. It's doing a pretty solid job as they get through the Bloodseeker's first life, but, well, how do they deal with the second? And now how do they deal with Haze? He's going to jump in. There's the Epi into the burrow, dropping Askold low. They don't kill him off, but they do get the stun onto Rari, so this Medusa will fall. And now for HYDRA, it's time to run. Askold's going to try to get away. Cobalt cannot get himself out, though, and TA2000, with that second life, just marches right back in to finish the job. They get themselves 5 kills. ICQ bought back, but it looks like they will now finally throw in that towel. The GG will be called. And Rune Eaters, one last kill there to pad the stats for Cloud as they take the win, they take the series, and Harry Freak, they're on their way to Division 1.
They take their slot as well. It's I would say that without any doubt they deserved it. Both them and one move, I mean, just made a clean run through this one. I don't think any of the other teams can match them in any way. They showed it against everyone. HYDRA, they've had their shining moments. I do think that HYDRA were the third strongest team in this playoff, but it seems like they just weren't on par. And I'm glad that we found our strongest two teams. And now when we look back, I actually thought after some of the HYDRA games, but it seems like they were just playing against weaker teams. They could survive the laning stage, and then they could show that they can move throughout the mid game. But when they went against these teams that have been playing a bit longer together, a bit better coordination, I'd say, in the laning phase, they just couldn't get to play Dota. And as we mentioned, that is the easier thing to improve for the next season. But Runeaters really a nice run from them. I want to see them excel in Division 1, but it's gonna take some work, and they don't have a lot of time, so it's time. There's no time for rest. I don't think no time for celebration. Maybe one day right now, and you're back to playing, you're back to practicing, because it's only gonna get harder from here.
And yeah, I mean, you know, like you said, take one day, go celebrate, enjoy that you have been promoted, but, you know, tomorrow morning, if you're Rune Eaters, the work needs to start again, because as strong as they were here, with those 8 straight wins in the lower bracket, they did have to make the run through the lower bracket in the first place, and they're going to be playing up against even better teams, world-class teams in that first division. So they need to improve, but they will get the chance to see what they can do against Division 1 teams by virtue of this strong performance.
After that sentence, I kind of felt like a bad parent. Like, yo, dad, I got an A in maths. Okay, and what about English? You know, so that's how I feel like. You guys, you can celebrate for one night, then back to work, because with this kind of plays, you're not gonna match those Division 1 teams. Just kidding. We're gonna see. You never know. They did steam through the playoffs here. So Runeaters, they maybe have it in them to give a fight to Division 1 teams, but still they will have to work for it, and they're probably gonna feel motivated to do so as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, just put together an incredible run to reach that point. They are going to have that motivation to try and keep that momentum going. So good stuff from Rune Eaters in this event. Look forward to seeing what they do on the D1 stage. Same for one move as well. Obviously, they handled business yesterday, but they do still advance through as well. So those will be your 2 squads joining that first division for the upcoming tour. And as you also alluded to, Harry Freak, there's a bit of a short turnaround if things are all sort of going to start on schedule. So those teams will be back in action sooner than you think. But at this point, we are going to be shutting things down here. So with that in mind, take a step back, sort of look at the playoffs sort of from the wider picture. What were your sort of main takeaways from this whole event?
Well, I have to say, for me personally, I need to still think, okay, who are these teams playing against when judging actually how powerful they are. But the main takeaway when it comes to the teams is that they can play Dota, man. As you mentioned, they understand how to play Team Dota, and that is what kind of touches my heart, because I kind of stopped playing competitively, maybe. I mean, maybe when the DPC started, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And there were a lot of teams that had good players in Europe, in Eastern Europe as well, but they never understood how to play Dota. And I'm just loving it that some of these players that I looked at that point, that I screamed against, played against, that they're in this kind of position that they play really, really, really good Dota. Something that you can say, okay, these guys, they understand it. It's not like, okay, let's kill this guy, but they actually have an idea of how to play the game. So I was surprised that most of the teams here are actually capable of that. And the only disappointment for me were Wayfarers. Most of the players coming out from Division 1, Funnick on their team, who actually ended up being the best player when it came to understanding what he needs to do with his hero. That's the only disappointment for me. For me, the other ones were just surprises overall, and I can't wait to see what they will bring in the next season.
Yeah, that next season is going to bring us a lot of sort of exciting stuff in particular. So be sure to check that out. Rune Eaters and One Move will be there, at least in the first division. But if what we saw here is any sort of indicator of what's to come, Division 2 is not really going to be anything to sort of look down upon either. So caliber will be different, but the action should still be exciting. So sure to check out the Eastern European Tour once it gets started back up. For now, though, we are done. That was the final series. So once again, congratulations to Rune Eaters and One Move for advancing to that first division. We are going to be hopping on. So for myself, Harry Freak, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all very much.